Hello, today I will be demonstrating the basics of operating an ETC Ion XC Lightboard so you can program and operate a show. Though I will be using an Ion XC console, most of what I show today is the same across all ETC EOS consoles, including Elements, Apex, and Ion, so you can just use what you have. It might seem overwhelming at first, but you don't even need to know half the buttons to run an amazing show. Turning on the board. The first thing to do after taking the cover off is to press down the big power button on the top right of the board. When it lights up, that means it is turning on. It often takes a while, but once you see this screen, that means the console's almost ready. And once this screen pops up, also known as the live table, then your Ion XC is ready. Channels and changing intensity. When looking at the live table, you'll see a bunch of little boxes with numbers over them. Each box is one channel, and the number above the box is the channel number. Channels are used to control light fixtures, and there can be one or multiple lights in each channel depending on how the lighting grid is set up. There are multiple ways you can alter a channel's intensity, which is how bright or dim the light is. The first way is by using the scroller on the far right of the board. First, you use the mouse attached to the board to select the channel you want, then use the scroller to bring the lights back up and down, like I am doing with channel 1. Intensity ranges from 0%, or when a light is out, to 100%, when a light is at its brightest. On ETC consoles, 100% is referred to as full, with the abbreviation on the live table being FL. You can also change intensity using the console's keyboard. I am going to select channels 1 through 9, but instead of selecting them all at once, I can type 1 through 9 at full, enter, and it will bring up all those lights at full. When typing certain channels into the keyboard, you just type the number you want, no prefix. To turn those lights out on the keyboard, I am selecting the same channels as last time, 1 through 9, then typing at out, which will automatically turn those lights off. And to unselect or untype anything, press clear. If you want to select multiple lights not in number order, use the plus sign. For example, if I want to select channels 1, 3, and 5, I can type 1 plus 3 plus 5 at full, enter. Same applies to turning off, typing 1 plus 3 plus 5 at out. You can also use the keyboard to make lights a certain intensity. By typing 1 plus 3 plus 5 at 52, enter, the lights will go to 52%. This can be done with as many or as little channels as you want. Changing intensity can also be done with a mix of keyboard and scroller. You can type 1 plus 3 plus 5 to select the channels, then use the scroller to reach the intensity you want. And then clear again to get rid of your selection. Recording and updating cues. In a show, every lighting look is its own individual cue. Cues are created and played in order from the Lightboard, and some shows have hundreds of cues. The first step to creating cues is to turn off presets using the preset wall box. Presets are used to turn on a certain combination of lights without having to turn on the Lightboard. This theater always uses preset 1 for general use, with work and house lights on. However, having a preset on will make it harder to see how the light cues will look, so make sure you are on the first page of presets and then press off until the lights turn off. To start creating a cue, turn on the lights you need, in this case, channels 1 through 9. Then to save the cue, type record, cue, the cue number, I am using 500, block, enter. Every button typed / channel selected will be written at the small bar on the bottom of the screen for you to view. To skip to a different cue, type go to cue, cue number, enter. I used cue 117 because that is the cue currently before the cue we just recorded. And to go to the next cue in order, press the big button with the triangle on it. And as you can see, that will take us to the cue we just recorded, cue 500. And to go back to the previous cue, press the big button with the square on it, which will take us to cue 117. You can also change the time on cues. Notice when I play cue 500 again, it is very slow to come up, 5 seconds. To change that, type time, the number you want, enter. 1 equals 1 second, 2 equals 2 seconds, etc. And now, when I play that back again, cue 500 comes up much faster. You can also make edits to existing cues. If I wanted to add the center light to cue 500, I just add the lights I want and click Update, Enter. Then when I play it back again, the center light is added. To delete cues, go to a different cue, then type delete Q, the queue number, and enter twice to confirm it. Introduction to Submasters, also known as subs. Subs are these faders on the left side of the board that can be used to organize groups of lights together. To select all the lights in a sub, press the top of the two buttons below the fader you want. Some subs have many channels like the first one I selected, or just one depending on how they are organized. You can toggle between sub pages using the plus and minus buttons to the right of them, creating new subs. Sometimes you'll need to create new subs, whether it's adding a new lighting look or reorganizing your sub pages entirely. To do that, first go to Q0. This goes farther than having all channel intensities at 0. It has them not have an intensity at all. Then bring up the light or lights you want for your sub. Make sure it is the only one with an intensity. If any others have an intensity, even just at 0, they will get recorded into the sub. We will be creating a sub on the second page in slot 36. Type record group number, 36 in this case, enter, then group 36, record, sub 36, enter. You then map this onto the sub by pressing the two buttons beneath the fader simultaneously. To label subs, make sure the sub you want is selected, then press Label Enter on the keyboard. Then use either the mouse or an external computer keyboard to label what you want. This is the system for labeling everything on the console, whether that is subs, cues, effects, etc. And now our sub is finished and functioning. Subs also have faders that can be moved up and down to change intensity. Just make sure to bring the fader back down when you're done, otherwise the lights will stay on. And the bottom of the two buttons beneath the faders can be pressed to flash lights in the sub on and off. To delete sub information, type delete sub, the sub number, then clear twice to confirm. However, it will leave this number behind. To get rid of that, hold Shift and unmap the sub, pressing the two buttons down at the same time. Applying effects. Effects are a tool to make your lights more dynamic without having to add a bunch of cues. Depending on the type of lighting grid you have, effects can move lights around, change color, flicker, pretty much anything you want. They can be recorded into cues as well. To apply an effect to lights, select the lights you want at the intensity you want them, and type Effect, Effect Number, Enter. Effect 3 is a flashing effect I built myself, and this is what it looks like with the curtain, though you also saw it without the curtain earlier. And to stop an effect, type Effect at Enter, or go to a cue without an effect. All ETC consoles come with a list of pre-made effects from Effects 901 to 918, so you don't even have to know how to build effects to apply them. However, since most of these deal with moving and color changing lights, and the current grid I am using doesn't have any, I just used a homemade effect. Tips and tricks. Number 1, select active. When you have a bunch of random lights on and want to change them, but don't want to go through and select their channels individually, you can press the select active button near the scroller, and it will select all the lights with an intensity higher than 0. Parking and unparking. Parking will keep certain channels at one intensity, no matter how many times the intensity is changed on the board. For example, there are a few channels that I know always flicker, but I didn't have the materials to change their bulbs before show day. Of course, I don't want them flickering throughout the entire show, so I had two options. Go through every cue and make sure those channels are at 0, which would waste a lot of time, or just park them at 0, and then even if I accidentally have them at full in a cue, they will stay at 0. To park lights, select the channels you want, and type Park, Enter. This will put a little P symbol next to the channel number. Then to unpark them, select the channels again, press Park, then press Enter on the keyboard twice. This will take the little P symbol away too. Undo. I didn't record a demonstration for this, but there's also an undo button if you do things like accidentally record over a cue. Just press Undo Enter and this screen will pop up looking at all your previous actions, and then just use the mouse to select how far back you want to undo and then click Enter. Live versus blind versus stage modes. Every ETC EOS board has 3 modes: live, blind, and stage. You can switch between the 3 using the 3 buttons in the top right of the board. Everything I've done so far has been in live mode, where every change you make on the board is visible on stage. Blind mode is where you can make changes to cues, etc. without changing the lights on stage. Stage mode allows you to test light changes on the stage temporarily, without changing them in live or blind. The keyboard is used slightly differently in each mode, but today we are only going over live mode. The reason I mention this is sometimes programmers accidentally switch over to a different mode, especially blind mode. So if a different screen comes up, such as the blue screen in blind mode, make sure to switch it back to live mode before continuing. Tabs. Right below the live table, there is a plus sign to add a tab. When you click it, it pulls up this screen with all your tab options. Tabs are useful because this way, view certain information not available in the live table, such as your group list, cue list, effect list, and others. Looking at these things will put you back in blind mode, so just make sure to go back to live after. Organize your subs. Organizing your subs is super helpful because it allows you to select lights in places you want faster than searching through all the channels. It is totally okay to change subs to fit your needs. Just try to organize them in a way that makes sense to you and others. For example, on this board, subs are organized from downstage to upstage in 4 sections, and each section starts in the respective center stage and then goes outwards left and right. Pink is the general light bars or electrics, blue is the lights focused on the apron, green is the front of the real stage, orange is upstage no back curtain, and yellow is upstage with the back curtain. Purple is miscellaneous, channels that don't have any light fixtures in them, lights with bulbs that need to be changed, and the work lights on the stage. And if any of the labels look different than normal, they are. They are labeled with different prefixes and suffixes unique to this grid. Just make sure to leave a key behind so those after you know what your labeling system is. Turning off the board. To turn off the board, start by going to preset 1, which will have house and work lights on, preserving the bulbs of the stage lights. Then go to Q0 to ensure all stage lights are off. You must save your work because ETC does not automatically save. You can either hold Shift and press Update, or using the mouse, go to File, Save, and hit OK. To turn off the console, hit Power Off Device at the bottom, click OK, and wait until everything goes dark, and then put the cover back on. And that is everything you need to know for a successful show. Break a leg and happy programming!